Hello and welcome to Cutie Art Crusaders, episode 103 for June 24th, 2014. I am Spark, your host and not the editor this week, and today I am joined by...
I'm PhotoGuy317, and I am the media manager and apparently everything else for this week.
Oh yeah, I also do the questions in the DeviantArt / other stuff that we do, but today I'm the host because it's just the two of us for various reasons. Yay!
Yay! We don't need them, right? Or...
No, it's the
just kidding.
Atmo Guy show. Yay!
Yay! We need our own theme song, dude.
We do need our own theme song. Someone what's the name of the guy that makes the music for us?
Percussion Brony.
The Percussion Brony. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make us some music, dude. Make us some theme music, because we need some. Make it before this episode comes out. I don't know how you're going to do that.
It's got to be hysterical, too, like, you know, like hilarious and just
It's
not at all
like
serious.
Not a trampoline, a tambourine and like jingle bells and all sorts of things in it.
I want a kazoo.
Kazoos are good.
Yeah. Ah, dude, I can totally see this happening now.
Totally could.
Yeah, we had a bit of an odd circumstance this week in which Burned cannot make the recording at all the entire weekend, but he's editing. So yay, thank you, Burned.
Thank you, Burned.
Rainbow Plasma got sick, like really badly sick with a sore throat, so he's out. I am actually not at home, so I'm recording on someone else's stolen Wi-Fi, and
and I'm at home in my normal place. Yay!
Yay! So Atmos Spark is the only one of us that is sane right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I was able to make it, and Atmos Spark is here, so
we have our own show. We've I think I've had a one-on-one show with everyone now.
Oh yeah, you have.
Did I have a Rainbow Plasma?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, I did too.
Yay, me. No, didn't you have a guest? Didn't you have like Mahoward? Didn't Mahoward join you or something?
Probably, yeah. I think that's what happened.
Yeah. It was too short notice.
Yeah.
Mahoward's never on Skype anymore either. So anyhow, we've put together a fantastic show for you guys for today. The theme is butts.
Is it really? Is that what we've written down there?
No, the theme is Celestia, because we have featured
every other princess.
3 princesses except for Celestia. Yeah. So
and a queen.
We
even.
kind of last week.
Yeah.
So we thought we would feature Celestia because, you know, Sunbutt is awesome.
Sunbutt. So we're kind of butts.
It is a butt theme.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Although I guess every theme is a butt theme, isn't it? I mean, we had balloon butt, we had butterfly butt, we had moon butt, we had all sorts of butts.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I guess we can kind of jump right into the art.
Guess we can.
Because we have 5 pieces and 2 questions. Because it was just the 2 of us, so we thought we would maybe get through them quickly. So if we go over time, we're sorry.
Sorry, Burned, but deal with it.
Yeah.
You should have been here.
You have an avatar that's you with... no, it's you with YOLO shades. You need to deal with it, shade.
Yeah.
Avatar.
True.
All right, so our first piece is called Celestia Warm Days by Senate V, who is an adorably cute artist.
Incredibly cute.
As in she makes cute art. Yeah.
What, you're saying the artist isn't cute?
No, I mean, I've never met Senate V, so...
True.
Hi, Senate V. Yeah, so I guess we can jump right in. I really, really like the coloring in this piece.
Mm-hmm. When this one was sent to me to look at by Silver Rainbutts, that was what she said, just colors. It's really, really, really bright, and the colors are just warm and happy.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about this is happy.
Yeah, I really like the highlights in the different colors too. Like if you look at the blue, like there's this really dark, deep shade of blue that's used, and then there's like these very bright turquoise cyan kind of highlights in there, and it's I don't know. It because of the saturation and the hues that are used, it really pops out. I like it. I like it a lot.
I mean, it also pops out because the background is just a plain sort of black, it's not black. I guess it's black. Gradient. But
Yeah.
that also helps her stand out because she's the only thing that's coloured.
Mm-hmm.
But even, I think, by itself, on either no background or just even on sort of other sort of backgrounds, it would stand out. It is really, really bright.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, yeah, what you're saying with like standing out against any background, Centipede, I know, does a lot of these kind of simple background pieces. But yeah, if you threw this against any other type of background, it would pop just as much.
Mm-hmm.
I really like also the way that Centipede did the shading on Celestia herself in this.
Yeah.
Because it's a very soft shade.
Very. And then
in places.
If you look on Celestia's left, our right, her front leg, the shading there is sort of a really light green.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
yeah, there's a lot of reflective shading in this.
Absolutely, there
really
is.
cool.
That's sort of reflected off her hair there, where it's green and then blue onto the white.
Yeah. Yeah, you see that a lot in this piece, and it's really cool. It definitely gives it. It's not really a realistic feel, but it definitely gives it kind of more warm feel, maybe.
Absolutely warm. This is a very warm piece.
Yeah.
And you can.
Go on.
I was just gonna say you can tell. You can tell by
this,
even by ourselves it happens.
I know this entire episode is just going to be like us talking against each other, and it'll be like, oh no, you go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So please, Atmospark, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but on her Celestia's right, our left, her front leg there, where Centipede is used shading to sort of define the edges of her shoulder, where it joins her body.
Mm-hmm.
That's also the way it's cool the way that they've done that, where there's no lines, it's just been done by the shading.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because this is a very lineless kind of style, but in certain places, Centipede has used shading in a way that almost looks like a line. Like if you look at Celestia's muzzle, for instance, or her front right leg and her back right leg, like our left, her right. Like there is this kind of an outline to those pieces of her, but it's also kind of blends right into the additional shading, like in her legs and stuff like that.
Yeah, well,
I guess it's more prominent in her face because it doesn't really blend in with anything else.
Also, that's sort of where the eyes, where you're naturally drawn to go to. With the thing is with that, where they've got the shading that's almost a line. The thing with the shading is it doesn't go all the way to the edges, so the bright doesn't go to the edges. So the way that I've done that sort of blends in with that shading technique.
Yeah,
and that's sort of what gives you the line.
Kind of cool. Yeah. If you take a look also at Celestia's eyes, I really like how they're done. It's kind of a very simplistic styling. In the show, usually eyes are made up of a gradient and then two highlights in there. And Centipede has kind of taken just a single color and made it a gradient using some hard shading. Not really made it a gradient, but it's like separated using some hard shading on it. And then has outlined the iris. It's an interesting eye design. I kind of really like it.
I do like it. It's very simple, very neat, very elegant. Also, there's slight anime-esque techniques in there as well, where the eyelashes and the eyebrows go over the hair.
Yeah. Also with like the small expression, kind of like her very small mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely get a very anime-esque feel with her face. Yeah. Not really with the rest of her,
her
body.
It's sort of like a blend of, I guess, techniques and not so much mediums, but a blend of drawing styles. Because you've got hard shading in the eyes and on the crown and the necklace she's wearing, soft shading everywhere else. And there's sort of really well-defined lines on those things as well. Like if you look at the crown, if you look at the gem in it, it's got a hard sort of lines in it, whereas nothing else does.
Right. Yeah, it is interesting because I can see kind of maybe 3 different styles blending in here with the flowing in the main, Celestia herself, and then with the kind of the hard shading anime-esque feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
And they all really work well together in this piece.
Yeah, it's a really...
That is kind of... I guess that... Yeah, that's kind of something that, you know, some artists might be interested in trying, is kind of blending styles, kind of taking from one style and kind of putting it in with another style. And I don't know, it creates a kind of a unique piece.
Yeah, it does.
Cool.
It's a really sort of well done blend of those things.
Yeah. All right, so we should probably move on to our second piece at this point, which is called Equestria Chronicles Celestia by Arc Ecclesia. And this piece is actually a logo that they designed for an online MMOG
called Equestria Chronicles.
Called, yes, yeah. Hence the name.
Hence the name, yeah.
Of the piece.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we were looking at these arts, Silver Rainbut's Clouds, who was sitting behind me, looked over my shoulder and said, "Hey, that looks kind of like a Final Fantasy logo." And then we were looking around. I was like, "Hey, it does look kind of similar." And then I looked down through their comments, and they were saying, "Yes, thanks a lot. That is what I was aiming for here, a Final Fantasy-ish kind of logo." So yes, you were correct.
Yeah.
It is modeled after Final Fantasy.
Yeah. Which is really cool. And I mean, you can see a lot of really good art in kind of logos for games and for other, I guess, products.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's professional artists, you know, doing their work, and it's a different medium, obviously, or a different intended result, but you can still see a lot of really good art in it.
You'll find a lot of logos are sort of sharp, quick little images so that they can be reprinted really easily with only a couple of colors. Yeah. And really sharp definitions between them, which is good for screen printing and plastering all over the place. So you'll find a lot of creativity goes into those sort of things because you need to make it unique and stand out with only a very limited sort of style choice. Right. Which is what they've done here.
Yeah, which is really cool. There is a kind of a gradient going on here. But it is very kind of simplistic. Like if you did end up screen printing this on something, it would be very recognizable, and you could theoretically just do it with a single color or a couple colors, whatever.
Exactly. I mean, I'm looking at the full view here, and yeah, it's a gradient, but it's a gradient over the whole piece. There's no like individual colors. You could do this with hard barriers between the colors.
Mm-hmm.
The lines are all really clean cut.
Yeah. What caught my eye, yeah.
Go ahead.
What caught my eye initially with this piece is the whole concept of Celestia flowing into these waves of the background and stuff. Because if you look at where her legs are, they're not attached to hooves. They're kind of blended right into the waves. And same with her tail. Her mane kind of does its own thing, but I love the whole concept of like things blending into other things, especially like when it comes to waves or like
natural things.
Like natural kind of things. Yeah,
you can see like what they've done here at the tips of the wings is pretty cool too. I mean, I guess that comes directly from the Final Fantasy logos, but it's all like curly, like her wings sort of trail off into the thin one strand of hair.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. It definitely adds to the flowiness of the piece.
Another interesting part of this sort of style, like the logo-esque type style, is the use of negative space. If you look at Celestia herself, there is no definition of the character. It's all done by everything else. So there's no sort of lines for what she is except for the eyes.
Yeah. So it is kind of cool.
Negative space, if you can do it well, is really, really good. I love negative space.
Oh yeah, it's also very good to have for or good to use it in kind of these logos, especially if you're thinking about printing them on shirts or whatever, because it really does a good job of kind of bringing across what it's supposed to represent.
Exactly, and that it's any color of what you're printing on will become the character.
Yeah,
with the definition being like the other stuff.
Yeah. Thank you for saving me there. I was pretty sure that my sentence that I just said meant absolutely nothing. But
I know what you meant.
Yeah, thanks. So something that also is kind of interesting about this piece is there's kind of a contrast between the very background, like this castle and rainbow, and with Celestia in the front, in that, you know, Celestia herself and the waves and everything is very, very flowing, very kind of organic, methodical, and stuff like that. And everything in the background, the castle and the rainbow, is very kind of geometric almost. It's an interesting contrast.
Absolutely, it does, and it helps to make them stand out as being separate from what she is. And you can definitely tell the foreground and the background. Rather, it's not just a teeny castle in the waves; it's actually in the background.
Yeah,
which is pretty well done, because not a whole lot of people do that.
I wonder if there's like, because this is a logo for a game, and I haven't really done a bunch of research into it. I wonder if like that castle is kind of part of the general game logo.
That wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah. Well, because I know this artist has done a couple other
I'm looking at the Luna one now.
Ones. Yeah. And there's a castle in the Luna one too, but it's the old sister's castle.
Yeah. And you can tell right away it's the same sort of style. It's still modeled after sort of the Final Fantasy type stuff. She doesn't, looking at the Luna one, she doesn't really blend into her surroundings, but she has she's not even really negative space anymore. But there are still very similar techniques with the flowy waves, and the anything unnatural like the castle is hard, whereas everything else is soft and flowy.
Yeah. Actually, while we're on this Luna piece, Brian, if you could bring it up on the screen, if you haven't already, that would be awesome. It's interesting because in both this piece and in the Celestia piece, the way that Art Crusaders has used the gradient of color in the line work, basically kind of starting at the center point of the focus, which is Luna, and kind of going outward. So like if you look at her wings, it fades from blue to green, and same with like the shading on, kind of the same with the shading on herself, but like the green is kind of on the fringes of the piece, whereas the blue is kind of more towards the center.
It's most notable if you look at the clouds. It starts on either side. It starts at the green, and then as it comes in, it goes blue. Same with the one on the bottom, and the one on the right hand side of our screen goes the opposite direction. So the blue is in the center on the character.
Yeah.
I also like what they've done. Archiclegia's done with the moon in the background of this one. So it starts on the left, the outline is green, and goes to blue on the right. On the right, sorry. But the shading goes the opposite direction.
Yeah. Huh.
Actually,
I think...
At first look, it looked like it went the other direction, but it doesn't.
Yeah. I think that they definitely use that to kind of give the focus to the piece. Whether it's intentional or not.
It definitely stands out.
Yeah. The same with, like, if we go back to the Celestia piece, Celestia has this gradient that starts at her and kind of works its way outward. So, like, her wing tips are yellow, and her, like, where her shoulder is, it's kind of this bluish.
Yeah, and the Celestia one, it's not as noticeable. I think it's more the entire thing has a gradient over it, not just sort of her, whereas with the Luna one, it sort of looks like everything has its own individual gradients, whereas with the Luna one, if you draw a box, with the Celestia one, if you draw a box around it, the whole piece, that box has a gradient. So it goes, it changes a couple times along it.
There are kind of these breaks in it, though. Like, if you look at her wings versus her mane, and also at the waves, there's a bit of a break in there. But right. It isn't quite as noticeable in the Celestia piece.
I guess it sort of suggests that sort of overall gradient. It's not really there.
Yeah, still a very, very cool effect.
Very cool effect.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to move on to our next piece, which is called Innocence by Limry Art. And I hope that I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Innocence by Limry Art. I would say you pronounced it right, yeah.
Okay. So this piece is of Celestia. I think, is this our first? Yeah, this is our first full piece.
Mm-hmm.
Of Celestia kind of playing in a waterfall.
At night.
In a pool of water at night, yeah.
Though it's hard to tell that it's night.
It is, yeah.
Because it's so bright.
Yeah, it is kind of very bright for a night scene. But it is interesting because it is a night scene, like, you have very defined points of luminance or lighting points. So obviously the moon overhead, but you kind of, if you look at like the fringes of the leaves in the upper right hand corner, you get like this kind of radiating light there, which I'm assuming is kind of a reflection of the moonlight. Yeah, I don't know. It's
just this whole thing is just neon colors, and it's all blended together really well to make it look fantastic. As opposed to you can see, I'm sure everybody's seen scenes like this that people have made where it's also all neon colors, but it's not blended particularly well, and it all sort of gouges at your eyes and squeezes them, and it hurts.
Yeah.
But with this one, everything is blended together really well. It sort of gives me a like the movie Avatar kind of feel.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that.
Like being in the forest at night and everything's all shiny and bright and gives off it kind of looks like everything is giving off its own form of light, rather than being reflective.
Yeah. And I kind of like pieces that kind of use these vivid colors in that way, where it's like it takes a scene and it kind of gives life to everything by having it be its own light source, for instance, or just being very bright, and not like, eye-gougingly bright like we've seen some pieces before, but like you were saying, it's a matter of blending the colors correctly and everything.
Yeah.
Something.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
There you go.
Okay. Something that I really like about this piece is if you look at the water, there's kind of this reflected light in the water from Celestia's mane. So you get these kind of strands of these purples and greens and blues and like this whole rainbow of colors in the water. It's not refracting off of her mane and tail. It's kind of like, I don't know if it's reflecting light or if it's kind of meant to be that her colors are kind of coming out, like we've seen some pieces with Rainbow Dash or whatever, but it gives it a cool effect. It's like an iridescence in the pool.
It almost looks like the colors are running out of her hair and like down the stream.
Yeah. Celestia dyes her hair.
Uh-oh. That's what she's doing in the shower here.
Yeah. But I guess that does bring up a good point too, because like if you look at even the water in the waterfall, it's a variety of different colors. There's purples and blues and greens and stuff like that. So it is a very iridescent water, and it's not like a natural water that you would see in the world, but like I don't know, it's something about it kind of makes it pop and gives it a cool look.
Everything about this is so bright. I can't stop saying how bright it is. If you look at sort of the shine in Celestia's hair, her tail as well, but not so much, but in her hair where she's underneath the waterfall, the water is sort of bright, vivid cyan. And it sort of gives a boost to the colors in her hair. I also like the fact that she doesn't undress when she has a shower.
I know.
She still wears the crown and the necklace.
You saw she wore the crown to bed.
She did too.
Yeah, and when she had the dream about Tyrek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else find it creepy that Luna's in her sister's dreams as well?
I don't think that. I think they kind of had the same dream.
But Luna shouldn't have been sleeping. She's awake at night.
That is true. Yeah.
Anyway, back on this. That that dripping water is also on the wings, on Celestia's wings, which are really cool looking.
Yeah.
They're big. I like big wings. Big bird
I'm a
wings.
big fan of like how people use wings to kind of frame certain parts of images, and a lot of people will use wings to, or not a lot of people, but some pieces of art use wings to frame the entire piece, which I find fantastic. But in this piece, it's kind of cool how Celestia's wings are kind of upheld and kind of framing her face almost.
Almost, yeah.
Kind of pointing your focus right into her.
I agree with you. I love when people sort of take advantage of parts of the characters and stuff that are unique and take advantage of that to make something in the image. This one here, it kind of looks like the wings here in this one are sort of framing her head and the waterfall. So it looks like the water is pouring sort of into her as opposed to into the stream. It's sort of, she sort of looks like a cup or a vase or something holding the water.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that until now. Yeah, if you zoom out, it's even more of an effect.
Absolutely. Because you've got this hard line of the curve of the outside of the wing, which goes up and makes that shape. And then you can see that they've put feathers on the inside as well to look like the wings are curving around to hold it all.
Yeah. Huh.
So
that is pretty cool.
She must just be really, really thirsty.
Yeah, she's just filling herself up with water.
Absolutely.
Something that I find interesting with this piece is the depth of field, or the focal depth. Because like if you look to the right side, the leaves and everything there are very blurry. And it looks like they're kind of behind everything else. Which is kind of cool because you get like the rocks and Celestia and everything is in focus, and then this forest of trees off to the right is kind of blurred out.
Well, interesting enough, if you have it at full view, you look at those leaves and you look to the left of the leaves, and it's in front of the rocks. So they're in sharp focus.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that now.
So it's kind of as if we know they're there, but we're not supposed to look at them, even though they're in the they're in the foreground with the character.
Yeah. That's another kind of example of an artist using details to kind of draw your attention to things. Yeah.
Whereas, as opposed to the last one where the detail was sort of in the background, here the detail is in the foreground.
Right. Because, I mean, the forest is just kind of there to say, you know, it's a forest. It's not about the forest in the piece. It's about Celestia and the waterfall and her being a cup and taking in all this water.
Yeah. And if you took away the trees, if it was just sky there, it wouldn't feel the same. You wouldn't get the same effect. This feels sort of... this gives you more of a comforting sort of privacy type feel.
Yeah, it's like a closed-in kind of... Yeah.
Like, it's her own little getaway from every other pony. It's more, she's by herself in the forest underneath a waterfall, as opposed to being at a random waterfall in a stream down the road from Rainbow Dash's house.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, fantastic piece of art. We're going to move on to our next piece, which is called Welcome to Equestria by Verastipper.
Verastipper.
Yeah, fantastic name, by the way.
I can never pronounce it.
Yeah. So this is one piece of art in a kind of a series of many pieces that people have done to kind of show a contrast between Luna and Celestia. And we've featured one by Cosmic Unicorn before. I can't remember the name of it exactly. But it's kind of, you know, showing the bright, sunny day Celestia and then the dark night Luna. And this piece kind of...
At some stage they join, usually with the magics like in this one.
Yeah. Which is a really cool concept. And there's kind of this portal... and I didn't even notice Twilight's cutie mark on the ground there.
They're all down there.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting how Verastipper took that kind of concept and basically split the image in two, with night on the left and day on the right. And then there are these kind of little combinations, like the magic you mentioned, the portal, and Twilight's cutie mark, and all of the other cutie marks there.
The elements of harmony.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, everything sort of about this, it's strange. It's the foreground and the midground, excluding the characters, is identical on both sides. So it sort of looks like you've stepped out of the castle into this courtyard. And everything is identical. So you got the two sort of statue bust type things down the bottom in the center just in front of each character. And then you got the middle ground, which is that wall. And there's also the same busts on there, and they're identical both sides. But then if you go further back to the background, everything is different on both sides. So it gives you this feeling of a courtyard rather than it's a mirror. So it's almost like this is happening at the same time. Both characters are standing there, but where Luna is, she's sort of made her half of the sky dark, and Celestia's half is sun.
Yeah.
So that's
it is interesting. Effect. It is kind of interesting because, like, yeah, I would take a look at this piece and I would see that you're standing in a courtyard. It looks like there's maybe some water or something. I don't know what the blue is. Yeah, probably water.
Probably water.
And then there's this portal which kind of splits the night and the day. And in the background, obviously, it's just a large sweeping scene because you can kind of see behind the portal where there's the split. You get the continuation of the mountain ranges. The clouds are all continued and stuff like that. So it isn't.
I didn't even notice that.
It isn't like a mirrored image. It's just that, this half is night and this half is day of the courtyard and the world, basically.
Wonder where the portal goes. It says welcome to Acrosia, so maybe that's the portal to human life.
Maybe. I don't know, was this made before or... this was made this year. So, it could be a pool of duplication, a castle of pranks, and a portal to another realm.
So, yeah, I don't know where the portal goes, but it's interesting. So, that's
I think the backstory to this might be kind of the creation of the Equestria Girls portal.
Could be.
Maybe. And the pool of duplication could be like the mirror pool.
The mirror pool.
Yeah. So it could be that like Celestia and Luna created these things and then they got lost in time.
Well, I mean, the characters themselves were 1,000 years old, at least.
Yeah. So they probably forgot where they put them or whatever. It's like, mirror pool, it's probably somewhere in the woods. Yeah. Kind of going back to this piece itself, I really like the stylings on the characters, especially on their manes and tails. It is very, very flowy, and especially like if you look at Celestia's mane, since we're kind of focusing on her, there's all these different colors, and it's very stranded. There's like all these lines. The line work in her mane is incredible. It's very different feel from what we've seen before in our other pieces, but yeah, I really like it. I like how 3D it kind of feels too.
It's even more different, I would say, to just his own work. It's complete. It's very, very different to other stuff that he's made. I guess most of the stuff that he's made, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done sort of this kind of style stuff where the characters are pretty well formed and they've got the lines in their hair, but nothing to this extent. I guess this was him sort of testing himself when he made this.
Which is interesting because he does have kind of a defined style, I guess you could say, but all artists are always evolving their styles or trying new ones or whatever, so it's interesting to see Verstappen kind of taking on these different styles, like with the mane, and the background also looks very kind of like a watercolor, almost. I think this is all digitally done, painting and airbrushed. Yeah, but it does look very much like a watercolor, which I haven't really seen in any of his other pieces either before.
Yeah, I think this was something that he was trying a whole lot of new stuff in, because he's got he's got that blend. He's got the blend of the watercolor looking background, plus the really sharp in-focus characters at the front. So you got the really sharp Celestia. Then you go, even just between them two, if you go across to Luna, it's not as sharp. I mean, there is the definition of colors there, but it's sort of softer edges. They sort of blend together in her hair.
Yeah. She's kind of got this halo around her, whereas, Celestia also has a halo around her. If you look closely, there's kind of a yellow radiance around about her.
Sort of giving off light.
Yeah. Something that is... Go ahead.
and then you got the magic sort of entwining around their horns and their heads, and then going up together to that really bright spot, which creates the portal.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about that magic, because that is a really cool and unique interpretation of how magic is done. Because I think Rainbow Plasma was the one who said it before, like, magic isn't really something that exists in our world that like it does in Equestria. So it's kind of up to artists to interpret what they think magic looks like. And the show gives us one interpretation, but artists can kind of take that or use their own styles or whatever. And I don't think I've ever seen something quite like this before. Like I've seen flowy magic, but nothing like...
Nothing sort of wispy and curly and like this, where it not just goes up from the horn, but also goes out and around the character. Yeah.
It's a really, really cool effect. And there's also like these gradients, and it appears that the magic is radiating and stuff. I don't know. I really like the whole wispiness of it.
It is rather unique, and I do quite like it. I mean, that's what I was saying earlier about highlighting the uniqueness of the character. With the unicorn, you want to highlight the magic. With the Pegasus, you want to highlight the wings, and with an Earth Pony, you don't want to highlight them at all.
Right.
I'm a little biased.
Yeah. But with like an Alicorn, like Celestia, Luna, Cadence, or Twilight, you would either highlight the horn magic or the wings. And we saw in the last piece, the wings were definitely highlighted because they're massive, and it's kind of a big focal point to the piece. And in this piece, it's more about the magic. Like, Celestia's wings are still there, obviously. They're just tucked away and kind of subdued, whereas there's this kind of aura of magic around there. And
exactly. Yeah. You want to... It's kind of hard to highlight them both at once, even if it's an Alicorn. So you want to pick one thing, focus on that. And if you are working with Alicorns like these two, then you need to incorporate the wings, but not make them stand out as much. Or the other way around.
Yeah. I'm kind of trying to figure out where like the main focus point in this piece is, if there is one. And I think it's that the dot where the where Luna and Celestia's magic like meet. Because basically it looks like you would look there and then kind of drift down to the portal and then split out to Celestia and Luna.
I would say that as well, but personally I think you could have done a better job at that. It's not bright enough for me. Yeah. Because if I'm sitting back in my computer chair and I'm looking at this, I'm naturally drawn to the right side of the screen because that's where the brightness is.
Right.
If he wanted to make that centerpiece, the center little dot thing, the focus point, he should have muted the colors a bit and made that brighter. But that's completely his choice. If he's made it that way, like if you're sitting closer, it's not so bad because you can see both sides of the screen equally.
Right. Yeah, it is interesting that, because I kind of did the same thing just now, and it is like the right side you gravitate towards more just because it's brighter and a bit more detailed in the background and stuff like that. So
yeah. It's just the night side on the other side sort of doesn't really lead you to gravitate that way.
Well, I think that's kind of an issue with if you're drawing night scenes, is that you have to kind of play some tricks to get focus correct and stuff, because you don't have a lot of light to work with. Details are usually more subdued in darkness and stuff like that. So I don't know, it's kind of trickier to get it right so that in like a piece like this, you would have equal focus split between the two sides.
Exactly. I mean, if I'm going to bring up the one that we were mentioning earlier, the Cosmic Unicorn one.
Mm-hmm.
It's got that same problem, but she's overcome it well with that rainbow being a lot brighter and a lot thicker on Luna's side.
Yeah.
Because that sort of leads you to that, as well as sort of going away from that really, really bright sunrise in the Celestia side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
But then again, Cosmic Unicorn is amazing.
That is true, yeah. But I mean, overall, fantastic piece for Esther. It's you know, I love the detail in the mains and the magics and stuff like that. So, absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I believe we have to move on to our last piece, which is called the Mad Prince $. The Mad Princess.
That's the Mad Princess.
Wow, totally did not get that. By Pony Killer X, who we have mentioned before, does a fantastic... Yeah. We haven't featured, but we've mentioned.
Exactly.
Does fantastic 3D, almost realistic shading.
Yeah, if you guys remember the... I think it was the Rainbow Dash episode that we did with the Rainbow Dash on a motorbike by Yakolev Vud.
Yes.
Another Russian guy. We compared these two together, Pony Killer X and Yakolev Vud, for good reason, because they're very similar.
Mm-hmm.
They both have absolutely fantastic detail. It's all really, really sharp and lineless. Yep.
I personally love these styles when the artist does them right. And Yakolev does a fantastic job, and Pony Killer X does a fantastic job. And in this scene, Celestia, it looks like she's fighting some unseen force. Or maybe she's... Well, yeah, no, it looks like she's angry. I was going to say it looks like maybe she's creating something, but, you know, the expression. So she's kind of hovering, floating above this turbulent, thank you, turbulent sea. And she's got her magic at the ready and everything. It's, a really, really cool scene.
Yeah, it's kind of like she's fighting away all that chaos. I wouldn't say discord, but it's sort of the way it looks to me is that it's sort of she's fighting away stuff that's happening at night by bringing up the sun. This might be post, sort of like just after the Nightmare Moon banishment.
Could be, yeah. I do love the angle at which the piece is done, like kind of to the horizon.
Yep.
Because it definitely gives this kind of foreboding motion to it, and obviously, like all the trees are kind of straight up, but the horizon's diagonal. So obviously, you can see there's motion there.
While I was researching that for a future episode that I'm planning on doing, the reason why you get the reason why I believe Pony Killer X has done that is because having that horizon not horizontal gives you the sort of uneasy type feeling, like a weird something's going wrong with the world type feeling, and that fits perfectly with this because it does give you that.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring up two very cool things that I enjoy in this piece, and I know I would use the word cool twice in a row, and I'm sorry.
Should have said you're awesome and cool.
Yeah, or what's the word? Rainbow Plasma says I say a word all the time, but I can't remember what it is right now. Blanche. The Celestia's magic and the sun. Overall, fantastic piece of art. Fantastic name, by the way.
I can never.
Fantastic. Are very, very well detailed. The sun is basically kind of how the sun really does look. Don't try it at home, kids, but
It's a ball of fire.
It's a ball of fire, but you got these like molten kind of rifts going on it, and so you do have these dark patches and these bright patches, and this is basically what the sun would look like if you took a very short exposure picture of it. And you can see obviously satellite images of the sun, and this is a very, very realistic interpretation of that. I think it's a very fantastic.
And that's what
Pony
made
Killer X
this
did a fantastic job. Yeah.
And that's what made this one stand out for me. The sun, coupled with Celestia's magic around her horn. It's that fire, that red, that yellow, that heat. That's what made this stand out.
It's interesting that Celestia's magic is the same colors as the sun in this piece.
Yeah.
Is that true in the show?
No,
I don't think.
I'm not sure.
No. But that would make sense.
It would.
Yeah.
That's another interesting interpretation. It's the same color as what she's trying to achieve.
Yeah. So speaking of her magic, there's also a lot of reflected light in this piece, which is kind of paramount in doing a 3D piece because you have to get all the reflections correct and all of the lighting correct. But basically, like her magic, if you look at her mane, the top of her mane, there's this reflection off of the green, and you look back and to her wings and stuff like that, there's also this orange reflection on them. So it's when you do something like that, when you kind of put these bright points in, you have to focus on things that aren't just like close up. It's, the wings that are far away also have reflected light on them.
Right. Just touching on that magic again, this is another interesting interpretation of it where it's sort of wispy, but not really. It's sharp points of, fire, sort of emanating from the base of the horn, twirling around it, and then exploding out of the tip.
Yeah. It's kind of like a helix around her horn, and then like I swear I've seen that kind of effect before somewhere, but I can't put my finger on it.
Probably on some more stuff by him.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So kind of going down from Celestia's horn, like her mane and tail are also extraordinarily well done. It's very stranded. There's like different colors. It's interesting that Pony Killer X decided not to make them translucent. That they're very, very much opaque. But it kind of also gives it, I guess, a better strandedness to it, like more of a stranded feel and more of a 3D feel.
It looks very, very similar to like a brushable character. The hair looks thick and it looks real. Without it being stranded, like individual strands.
Yeah. I'm always amazed at artists that can take hair and do it basically like this, where it's blobs of color, but then with small little accents of light and shading and stuff like that, make it look very stranded.
Exactly, because there aren't a whole lot of individual strands, but it looks like it is.
Right. So like we said in the last piece, artists can kind of focus on either the wings or the horn when talking about alicorns. But in this one, Pony Killer X decided to focus on both because Celestia's wings are absolutely fantastic.
I think that's what he does, though. I think he's tried to focus most of your attention on the horn with that sort of blazing magic, but he's also put a lot of detail into the wings because that's what he does. So even though his focal point is mainly on the horn, you also are drawn to those wings. Just not as much.
Yeah.
But it is definitely a focus point, and that's something that's one of the reasons why we put it towards the end, because the way that we work is we have something cute, something fun, something strange, something unique at the start, working towards a combination of everything that we talk about.
Are you talking about the pieces or about us?
Well, I'm talking about faces.
Because we're cute, strange, and weird.
Respectively.
All at the same time. Yeah. So fantastic job, Pwnykiller X. This piece is amazing, as is all your work. Mm-hmm. So
something else I wanted to point out just quickly on this one before we move on to the special surprise questions, is the way that he's done her feet armor.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like gold. It looks shiny. It looks hard. It looks solid.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very often that you see that.
Yeah, it's also nice because it's not like overly shiny. Like a lot of things portray gold as very overly shiny, this bright yellow. Yeah. It's kind of a more dulled down, like what actual gold would be like. Yeah.
Exactly. It looks like jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
Which is perfect because that's what it is.
Which she never takes off, apparently.
Yeah, she sleeps with it on.
Yeah, and showers with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. Well, horses wear shoes everywhere, I guess.
Yeah.
We're still talking about horses. Albeit colourful cartoon horses that can fly.
The pastel ponies, you know.
Pastel ponies, yeah.
All right, so we do have to move on to our questions because we're running short on time.
Secret special questions?
Yes.
Okay, so first question I've got here is, why is your... No, it's not the right one. Who of all the ponies in Ponyville would you pick to go trick-or-treating with, sent in by Midi Pinky.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm going to have to also say Pinky.
Alright, moving on, next question.
She would be Riot. Yeah, okay, next question.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any explanation needed for that one.
Yeah, Twilight would get too wrapped up in the lore of it. Fluttershy would be too scared. Rainbow Dash would be too awesome.
No, she'd be more
that awesome.
She'd be more demanding, I would say.
Yeah, she would prank all the time. She would
absolutely prank.
I think Pinky would just be crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although Rarity would probably have the best costumes.
She would absolutely have the best costumes.
Yeah. All right. So next question. Thank you for that, Mediboa.
Thank you, Mediboa. Okay, next question I have here is, what do you think is that one thing that makes you just instantly love a drawing or a piece of art? Sent in by Midnight666. I'm gonna change it up a little bit and say,
okay,
what is that one thing that makes you instantly focus on this particular piece? Like if you were scrolling through like a bunch of stuff on DeviantArt, what would make you go, oh wow, that's cool, and click on it and see it in full view?
Mm-hmm. That's funny because we do that basically every week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what gets you to click on something?
I have to say that I'm a sucker for warm colors. So if I see, okay, I'm a sucker for things that are on either side of the spectrum. I don't really get caught by just kind of muted colors, I guess. So, right. But also like oversaturated colors is kind of not really my thing. But if I see a piece that's like really warm or really cool, like predominantly warm or predominantly cool, that kind of catches my eye. I really do focus on the colors when I first see a piece. And then I kind of look to the more detailed parts of it. So,
okay.
What about you?
I get what you're saying, and I can sort of see myself doing that as well. Like if I'm scrolling through and something's really, really bright and it catches my eye, I'll think, oh, that's pretty cool. But I'm not that likely to click on it purely for the colors, except for in extraordinary cases. If I'm scrolling through and I see something that really picks my eye, I'm more likely to click on it and see it in full view if it plays with something and makes it different to what you would expect. Like, I'm a huge sucker for, we keep calling it forced perspective, but that's not right. It's not the right term. Stuff that you're seeing it from a weird viewpoint. Like, if, like, Rainbow Dash is flying and then you click on it and you look at it and the world is upside down because she's upside down. So you're seeing her properly, but everything else is upside down.
Yeah.
That sort of thing really, really gets me.
So like kind of unique pieces, I guess, or
Yeah.
like
So,
yeah.
I mean, there are always exceptions to the rules. For example, I will, if something's really, really bright, and I think, oh, that's pretty bright, and I'll click on it and look at it. But I'm much more likely to click on it if it grabs me that way, because everything is weird. I like the strangeness and the chaoticness of everything.
Yeah. See, I think like I like the more traditional-esque pieces, but like that use colors really well, and I think you like to think outside of the box with pieces and when you're looking for things.
Right.
Which, yeah. It's fantastic that we have those two kind of opinions on this show.
Well,
because it's the Atmos Spark and Flutter Guy show.
It is the Atmos Spark and Flutter Guy show. And that's how we come up with so many different pieces of art, because we each look for different things.
Yep. Yeah.
So I think between us two and even Rainbow Plasma and the other one, we all have a different preference to what we like, and that will lead us to searching the whole range of art that is out there and available.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Rainbow Plasma is a big fan of expressions and emotions and stuff like that.
And Burn
is the value guy. Yeah.
Atmospheric perspective, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for that question, Midnight666. That was awesome. You know, we should do like, well, no, we shouldn't do. I was going to say we should do like a behind the scenes as to how we select our pieces of art, but that would just be really boring, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that kind of is how we do it. We come up with a theme, and then we go find the art, and we go through our favorites folders, we go through DeviantArt, and that's about it.
Yep.
Scroll through, find one that we like, and do it.
Yeah. So this was an interesting episode.
Yeah. I'm okay with it.
I really, really enjoyed a lot of these pieces. I know that when we looked through Celestia pieces, there are a lot of really good Celestia pieces. So we might possibly do a part 2 to this at some point in the future.
At some point, yeah. Probably not next week, but
not
at some
next
stage
week,
in the future.
Yeah. And it'll probably be some different theme, like how we did, Night, Luna, and something else.
Nightmare Moon.
Yeah, for Luna.
Yeah. I mean, if we did the Nightmare Moon one, and we're going to be doing a Nightmare Rarity one at some stage.
Yeah.
Spoilers, by the way.
Yeah. It's not next week, though.
It's not next week.
No.
Or is it?
Next week.
Stay tuned.
What's the order for this? Do we want to do plugs and then theme for next week?
You can do theme now if you want. I know you like to do the theme before the plugs.
Okay.
And it's our show. We can do whatever we want. Suck it, burn.
Yeah.
And Rainbow Plasma.
Yeah. So our theme for next week. So did we want to do the plugs? Yeah.
Okay. So we have a DeviantArt account, which is cutieartcrusaders.deviantart.com. I'm going to do the full plugs because I can, and we've got plenty of time. Go to the DeviantArt page, which I just mentioned, to see all of the artwork that we featured on today's episode, plus some other ones that we thought were cool, but just weren't quite as good, or not so much as good, but we had other ones that we wanted to feature, stuff that we hadn't featured before, stuff like that. Go to can't really go there, but send us an email at cutieartcrusaders@gmail.com. You can send us questions in there. You can also send in artwork that you think we should feature, stuff that you like, that you think we should have a look at. You can set it into there. Please put whatever you're sending us in the subject line. So if you're sending us art, put art, questions, put questions, something like that, just so Gmail sorts it for us. We have what else do we have? Social media. So we have Facebook, which is Cutie Art Crusaders on Facebook, Twitter, which is @CutieArtCrusade, and we now have a Tumblr as well, which is cutieartcrusaders.tumblr.com. You can also send us questions through there, and Gmail will sort it out for us too. So if you send us a question in there and we don't actually answer it on Tumblr, don't worry. It's been sent to us. We definitely have it. We're just gonna maybe answer it a little differently. So we might not answer it on Tumblr, but if there is a question that gets sent to us through Tumblr that we don't really want to answer in the show, or we just don't think will fit in, we can answer it on Tumblr there for you.
Yeah, it's probably... I mean, we still like getting the questions through the email, but Tumblr will send it to the email as well. So if you had like a quick question that you wanted to ask us or whatever, you can send it there. And
we'll try and answer it. What happened to Atmospark's giant face?
What did happen to your giant face?
I missed
So our theme for next week, because apparently we were given full reign over this episode and next episode, we decided to go with humanized theme. Did. So next week, look forward to some awesome pieces of humanized ponies.
Yeah.
Yay.
I was overruled and it had to go. I am sorry.
Aww.
But you can go to atmospark.tumblr.com to see it there.
Yay, self-plugs.
Yeah.
All right, so we are kind of running up on time. So thank you guys for watching. Join us next week for the humanized theme again and for our 2-year anniversary, which is crazy. Yeah, 104 episodes.
Are you surprised as I am that the two quietest people on the show managed to fill an hour of talking?
We were both insightful.
True.
But I think we're underestimated.
I think so.
I mean, personally, I think we could take over the world.
I think we could. You thinking what I'm thinking, Pinky? Wait, am I thinking of the brain?
I don't know. I was trying to think of one of his sayings, but there's so many of them. Anyhow, we're rambling now. So thank you guys again for watching this Celestia episode. Whether or not you're in the live stream or on YouTube, we love you all the same. Rainbow Plasma loves you all the same. He couldn't be here, but you know.
Bird noises!
Yeah. Thank you guys again.
We're done.
And we'll see you next week. My name is Photograph317. And you're at Atmospark?
Oh, I'm Atmospark, yeah.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.